Awesome, thanks.
Okay, sorry to interrupt around that. Okay, so the problem here is that you want to be able to set this, but you don't want users to change it once it's set, right? That's like the
It, well, it would be okay if they cannot change it. Yeah.
oh, it would be okay if they cannot change it, but is it okay to be able to change it, or
It's
is that an
also it's
extra?
okay if they are able to change it. Yeah, I think they don't expect to be able to change it, but yeah, it would
Oh, I
be
see.
okay if they can. Yeah.
Okay, so a couple of things, right? One is, I mean, metadata is, in my view, a very good vehicle for something like this because it applies to the share. um, except I mean share metadata specifically. You want the all squash rules to be applied to every export, not really the single client rule that you're setting up via an access rules, for instance.
Yes, probably. Yeah.
So one behavior that we don't have currently is a set once metadata, um, which is uh, which is something we could implement, but we just didn't have a use case for it. Which means that you're only allowed to set it once, and it cannot be updated after that, if that makes sense, right? And if we did invent something like that, would that help your use case for things like this?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That would help.
Yeah. So we could consider that, and it doesn't sound too hard to implement. It would again be derived by configuration. So as an administrator, you can specify um, what metadata falls under this category, and you only have. I mean, if the API detects that it's one of those keys, we can make sure that it's not. Um, it's idempotent, if anything, and it does not allow you to overwrite that value with anything else. Um, and maybe we can make a standardized set of things, because I know this request will come again. Because the two specific things that you've called out here seem like something that is useful across backends, to specify things like root squash, not all squash, and the directory mode. So when we create a CIFS share on NetApp, for instance, it is instantiated with 777. But
Yes. Yeah.
when you're using the same share with NFS instead, presumably with only NFS v3 or something, um, yeah, that's not what the driver is doing by default. So it makes sense to be able to control that from an end user perspective, um, but it's a set once philosophy, I suppose, pretty much like the other use case. And changing that would be destructive to everybody else that's mounted that share after the fact that it has been set. So I'm sorry, I'm thinking out aloud, but I feel like this still is a great use case for metadata, and um, it can be implemented uh, with that approach to say that you can only set it once.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds good. Happy. Happy with that suggestion. Yeah.
So something similar to admin only metadata, there will be new config option and controlling this behavior. Is it?
Yeah, pretty much. So a different config option perhaps, but it pretty much states that you can only set it once. That's all, and anyone can set it. So you don't need like a rule check. But basically, anyone that has access to that share can modify that metadata, and that it can only be set once. And hopefully, we have a common way to implement this across all of the metadata places. So basically, access rule metadata, share metadata, export location metadata, etc. Um, perhaps Ashley is more familiar with that code, and if that can be in a common place.
You mean the admin only?
No, for something like this, I mean, we're introducing a brand new metadata behavior, um, and we want to apply to every possible metadata there is.
I mean like a single use.
Right, single use metadata thing,
Um,
like a worm property, right? Once.
hmm.
Yeah, I think we can also defer that detailed discussion. I think
Yeah,
I don't have this 35 minutes is for all questions. I think I
yeah.
don't want to take away
Oh
all of
yeah,
this.
yeah. Let's do that. Let's do that. That's a good idea. But yeah, this is a good point. I don't know how to proceed though. Were you planning to submit a request or a RFE or something, and would you have someone to work on this, or were you trying to find some?
Would we need a spec for this or a light spec or something? Or?
Light spec would do, I think, just to describe this behavior.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Thank you. Thanks for bringing this up, Maurice. Right, we have a couple of other questions. Let's try to fit the most we can under these 35 minutes. But is it okay? We are if we don't have the time to push some of these to a weekly meeting that follows. Yeah. So I see we are joined by Onyamano. Sorry if I'm misspelling your nickname. But yes, thanks for adding the questions to the Etherpad. Um, can would you like to share your thoughts on these questions that you've added?
Okay. Hello. This is my first time to attending a PTG, so I wasn't sure if it would be okay to post the questions like this. Although my
Yeah,
question isn't a particularly important or significant topic, I feel honored that it became part of today's discussion topic. First of all, thank you for making my private questions of discussion topic. My questions aren't anything particularly significant or important. I haven't been using OpenStack and Manila for very long. In fact, there is still a lot I don't know. However, as I have been studying Manila, I started to wonder why some features provided in public cloud services are not available. Through this PTG, I hope to ask questions about these curiosities, and I hope that my questions will be received in a positive way. Since I'm not very fluent in English, it might be difficult for me to speak or understand the things outside of my prepared questions. So I think it would be more than enough if you could just provide answers or feedback based on the questions I've written. Of course, it would be even better if you could write it down here in the Etherpad. My questions is five questions. First of all, roster file system support for HPC use cases in OpenStack. And second, replica snapshot retention, experience and policy. The third, granular access control for share replicas. And impulse automatic failover for share replicas. In last, enhance the visibility into replica synchronization state. Okay, please read my questions and please answer and feedback for my questions. Thank you.
Uh, yeah, let's communicate, and I'll write down as much as we can from the this discussion.
Yeah.
Cool. Right. So for LustraFS support, I am a couple of years. I've been working on Mozilla for a couple of years, and I don't remember any recent discussions on Lustre support. or other components. Gotham might have more uh, insights on this, or might remember that as he's been working in Manila longer than I have. Um, so yeah, it's this. I think it's like a nice use case, but Gotham. Yep.
Yeah. Hey, so thanks for bringing it up. One thing is we've heard this in the past, and more like a request from the scientific SIG folks. And as I'm talking this, I'm just checking with the scientific SIG on their Slack um, community, basically asking if it's still useful because it's apparently it is fairly popular to use this in HPC workloads for science, and so it might be of interest. The only thing is, I think nobody in this community has felt like they should go work on building one. Um, Building a driver for it seems fairly straightforward because it's a pretty mature technology. Um, but it would mean, like, the community also having to create a CI for this and to be able to continuously test it and evolve that driver as we go forward. Um, that said, it's also very this thing that we you don't need every driver to be in tree. There are lots of options of drivers that don't exist in the Manila tree, but they're co-installable and hence usable with Manila. So if somebody just developed something on the side for Luster, that would be perfectly usable as well, along with Manila. So it would just be yet another out of tree driver, and in that case it kind of reduces the headache of maintenance, right, within this community at least, because in the past I think we've had some drivers that just for example, we had the HDFS driver, we had the Gluster FS driver. These drivers we just lost maintenance, probably because, I mean, we didn't have enough um, knowledge ourselves on how to work with these file systems for the long term, and the CI jobs just bit rotted over time. So this would be my take on Luster as well. I personally don't know Luster very well. I would love to help you get it into OpenStack. If you're interested to contribute this, certainly a welcome thing. Um, All right. I'm getting some more feedback from the scientific SIG. If you don't know where those guys hang out, I can share a link to their Slack.
Thank you for your feedback. I appreciated your answers. Thank you.
Yeah. Is there a specific use case that you would like to document while we're talking about this? Like, this is the, um, I mean, you said HPC workloads, but what kind? What would you do, and some, if we understand what the usage would be like, for example, a multi-tenant cloud like OpenStack, using giving you an ability to create subdirectories into Lustre. How useful is it for what kind of workflows? That would kind of probably impact even how you want to design the driver, um, and so on. Like, what features you would want to expose. It's okay for us to also answer this async.
Yep.
And I would love to continue this conversation in the scientific SIG channel because looks like a lot more interest is there. Um, So let's catch up at a weekly meeting, perhaps, if we find out some more things. It looks like somebody has attempted this in the past. Does that work? Carlos, do you want to check the next question, perhaps?
Yep. All right. So next question is related to replica snapshot retention and expiration policy. So why just read it. So while replicas are designed to be continuously in sync with the active share, certain use cases such as disaster recovery replicas or manually created replicas that are no longer needed could benefit from lifecycle management. Would it be meaningful to explore support for optional retention metadata, for example, expired or automated cleanup policies for replicas that have not been used or promoted after a certain period of time? This could help operators reduce resource waste in large deployments and simplify DR replica lifecycle management. It's also expected that supporting retention policies for snapshots will be necessary. Yeah, so this is if we think of the way this is currently implemented, then yeah, we never actually account for the replicas to be like automatically cleaned up. We always expected that they would be there and we would create replicas when we need, and we will promote them if we need, but if not, they will just like be living there and being synced. But I think we never um, worked into an implementation that would allow that. If there is a strong use case for that, it would be fine. But as I'm looking at it right now, we kind of like take the replicas for some reasons, and it means that whenever you at least what we assume at the moment is whenever you create a replica, it's like you want to keep syncing it, and at some point you need to promote it. So I'm not sure exactly if this policy would also um, impact on something like, for example, today a replica expired and it got dropped, and tomorrow we will like something happens and I need to promote the replica, but where is it? Well, it dropped. It was dropped because it's like it expired. So yeah, I think currently it's by design what we did. But yeah, it's something that can, as Gautam is typing, it's easily done or easily achieved by writing an external tool. And thanks, I didn't know about the spec on automating snapshots on schedule. Yeah, that sounds like a nice approach too. But yeah, if we have a strong use case, and then other people might want to weigh in on this as well, if it would be useful to have, like the replicas having an expiration policy or something like that, or a cleanup policy. Um, any other thoughts? I think Maurice might have thoughts on this too.
Yeah, of course. It would be a nice addition. Yeah. This.
Okay.
It's
Now
always
I'm
hard
seeing
to decide where to put these. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it already completed? Now I see. I didn't see the topics. Your link is very useful, I think.
Okay, so I think it, as discussed, it could be nice. Yeah, thanks for the feedback, Morris, and thanks for the feedback on that. But yeah, the external to it also sounds like a good idea. Um, yeah,
Yeah, it similarly doesn't fit right into what Manila usually is responsible for.
yeah. Cool. Right, Gotham, thoughts?
No, I was just saying to think if there was something else in the because the last time we spoke about this, I think Kiran and I were chatting on that spec itself that there were scheduling services of sorts in other clouds like in Azure or Amazon AWS. So I was wondering if there was something else like that in the OpenStack space. I'm not entirely sure if this is a freezer's domain. I don't think it is because it's a backup and restore kind of service. But I wonder if there is a the, the similar use case across all of the other projects as well, and there's a
Would
common
be Mistral, maybe
Mistral.
the workflow service, if it's still alive. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that was a discussion during automatic snapshot or something, but I don't remember the services that we have in OpenStack.
Yeah, thank you. So maybe looking to Mistral or some external to manage it would be nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I think there is a. I mean, yeah, you're right. Mistral would be a place to put like a cron kind of a trigger for snapshotting shares, um, and then you would have the same kind of a thing for like deletion based on some sort of logic. Yeah, feel free to move forward.
Yeah, thank you. Right, so I think we are almost like 10 minutes past the proposed time for this topic, and I think the rest of the agenda is kind of tight. So, is it okay if we uh, respond to the next questions in an upstream weekly meeting? Awesome, thank you very much. I think we can proceed to the next topic. Then, thanks for the comprehension, and thanks for agreeing and bringing this up. It was, of course, very good timing. So thanks for bringing this up, and we'll see you at the upstream weekly meeting to discuss this as well. I wish we had a bit more time, but yeah, it's pretty packed today. So yeah, weekly meetings is a good place to discuss. Right. So let's start with the next topic. The next topic is the updates for the Affinity and anti-Affinity share groups specs. Uh, so, uh, Sean, you there? No problem. That happens sometimes, Sean. So,
While he's getting started with his mic, I just wanted to uh, um, note something that we did discuss during the retrospective. I think that I guess we slipped the spec submission deadlines and spec merging deadlines for epoxy, partially just things happened, and so I think this was quite ready for epoxy, and we should have just proceeded with the implementation. Um, but I'm happy to discuss if there were any changes that were required for this upcoming cycle for Flamingo and so on.
hey, Sean, is it working now? Your mic still shows up as muted. Uh, oh, hello, hello.
Hello, I'm sorry. Now it's working.
No problem. We can hear you now.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, the specs, yes. I mean, I can pick it up and continue to work. I think there's some open questions on how to do the synchronous, how to handle the request in synchronous way, right? So if we have several requests coming in simultaneously, and how to decide what to proceed, because, well, for anti-affinity, then we need to process them in certain orders. I think we have some discussion there. Haixin has some feedback on that, asked me to change some the design. Yeah, I think if you could provide me some more feedback, what do you think? Which one is better? And for us, I think we always deploy a file to log the systems. So my initial idea was to use that mechanism, but apparently that's not a general solution to everyone. Maybe that's a problem. Maybe we can provide some messages saying that if you want to use this feature, then you need to take care of that yourself, or we change the design. We somehow figure out how to do it.
H1, in your service, the way you've deployed it, you said you use file locks. Is this on a shared file system itself or something like that, or like is the file lock visible across processes basically?
It's a PVC, so it's shared by all the services in the
Okay,
Kubernetes controller, in the Kubernetes control plane, so cluster. So for us, we just deploy one PVC, and then yeah,
so you
they
have
are shared.
if you have, let's say, three Manila API services, they're all seeing that PVC, and hence,
Exactly, exactly,
okay.
yeah, yeah. But I understand that yeah, this is not general approach to deploying the services. So you could also change the design. That's also fine.
I mean, if we could avoid it, if there was a straightforward way to avoid it, sure. But we do have other examples in code where we are looking at, I mean, process synchronization with locks, right? And we have two kinds of locks that are implemented in Manila. One uses twos, and one uses Oslo concurrency. And Oslo concurrency, I think, has just one kind of a lock that's possible, which is a file lock. And with tools you have different backends because that's an extensible service that you could use, and you can choose the backend of your choice, HC3, uh, HCD3 gateway, or Zookeeper, or Redis, I suppose, or even just default to file. That's been the thing. I haven't actually heard of uh, you know of any operators deploy with something and and share their experience with us. So this I'm very curious about, as to, like, how the Oslo concurrency locks are even working for you. Have there been any issues that you've dealt with? And I mean, it's a completely another topic. If you'd give us that feedback, that'd be very useful to us, because we don't really test the way production clouds are actually deploying this thing at scale. So
Mm.
that would be super useful. But if you can think of a smart way to avoid this kind of coordination, using a third party thing, like, locks or anything, maybe something else in the database, the Manila database itself, that you can go check and see, that's fine too. That way you can build this generically.
Yeah, yeah, database definitely should work. We can also go that way. And let me see. Yeah, that's right. That's the latest command from Haixin. Yeah, it's a bit, it's too long ago. I don't remember exactly what is written here. I'm checking now. Yeah, this seems to be the concern. Data, yeah, you're saying about database. We can use that, sure. Uh, Another option you just mentioned is that OSLog, some tools from some libraries from OSLog, or what is it?
The tools library,
Yeah, the library.
yeah, this is under Oslo. And
OSLog, yeah, okay. Mm-hmm.
if you folks are not, like, configuring it in your cloud, you're probably using the default backend, which behaves like Oslo concurrency. So it's pretty much the file locks, and it'll go to the state directory that you specify. And by default, it's the same state directory that the Oslo's concurrency service uses. So you'll have two kinds of locks that Manila creates: one set of tools locks and one set of Oslo concurrency locks, just because we haven't migrated all of the use of Oslo concurrency out. Um, so
Then can we proceed like this? We use this Oslo library and let the operator to decide what mechanism is used, and
yeah,
then we
that's fine. Yeah, that's
yeah.
that's that's
Okay.
fine. I think there are all of those comments on that spec are now stale. You may have updated it, or you're probably going to update it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I should do that. Yes, definitely.
and we can take a look again.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Yeah, sounds good. Any other questions, concerns? Cool. Thank you very much, Sean. Uh, yeah, we kind of just recovered some time from the agenda. Now we are kind of on track again. Thanks for joining us and for sharing this. I think we are just like at the time for another scheduled 5 minute break, and then we'll be back for discussing first deleting subnets, which is another spec that's currently being reviewed, the event-led removal, and something like that. All right. I will see you in 5 minutes then.